culture too. And Joshua, just to your question, the town is Huntington, Long Island. Miriam, you had a question.
I agree with you, and I would like to add on to what Omar said about how people, usually households are like in a specific area, people believe different things and they go by different rules. So if you're in like a household with a different religion, then you learn different things, and like how we talked about last time, mythology and like stories. We grow with those stories, so we learn different things.
Exactly. You grow with the stories, right? And a lot of my childhood was spent in this town that we're going to explore today, in Huntington. And I'm really lucky to have grown up here. It's a really unique town. It's a small town by comparison to Brooklyn. Only 200,000 people or so live here, compared to the couple million that live in Brooklyn. So some people might say it's too small, but I like the size of this town. Now, first thing I want to point our attention to is this blue sign. And if you've ever seen a sign like this in New York State, they're all over the place about the history. Our first stop today is called the Conklin House, which from 1750 to 1911 was the home of the Conklin family, including David Conklin, who was a British prisoner in 1777. Now we're thinking 1777. What was going on in 1777 in New York? Maybe you remember from last year. Jonathan, yes, the American Revolution. So let's take a little look at this house. It's an old house. It's preserved. It was a field trip that I went on when I was a kid in this town. And, the houses are much different today, but this is what we would call a colonial style house. The colonial style house. What do you guys notice? What do you see on this house? What's different than Brooklyn, perhaps?
Anyone would like to share your thoughts? What's the difference? There's a big difference. For example, what is there anything next to this house? Right next to it?
Yeah, it has kind of its own big yard, right? An older looking building for sure. Has a nice little porch. A chimney, yeah.
Chimney, yeah.
It means they have a fireplace in there, right? Let's keep walking around. And I wonder if this is kind of a funny one. And we take this for granted, right? If you need to use the bathroom in your home, where do you go?
Bathroom within the room, right?
In your house, right? Now, before we had bathrooms inside our houses, it was actually, you see over there, it's called an outhouse. And that is a little building where people went to the bathroom, but it was outside of the house. Alright, and what do we think this big thing over here is? This big wood, a shed. Yeah, almost like a shed or a barn. This is likely where they kept animals or tools. Yeah. So that's the first stop on the tour. And what you're going to see next, we're going to drive through the village of Huntington and check out the history. Before we actually drive, though, I want to show you a pretty cool book that I got. You see this?
Huntington.
Huntington in Our Time. And it's actually a pretty old picture book. It has a lot of old images on it. Let's just take a quick look. So Huntington is a town that is on the water. As you can see, there's a sailboat in this image. And we're going to end our tour today on the water. Okay, but take a look at the town as it used to be. Tell me what you notice in this picture. What do you notice about the road, first of all?
Dirt, yeah. That's a good shout out. A little bit dirt. Yeah, you see horses. A little bit rocky. It's very good, yeah.
And what's this? You see these lines going down the road? What are those for, you think?
Yeah. What were those for? Tracks, yes.
For
Very good.
Wagons, maybe. You see this on the top?
What are those lines for?
Lines. Trolleys, Jonathan, you're right.
Yeah.
So they had trolleys that connected this is the change of technology, right? Before we had cars, these trams would connect electrically to these lines here and go down the main road in town.
Yeah, I mean, Mr. Ferraiolo, I was about to ask, like, do we still use the word tram to for those things?
In some places. Yeah, in some places.
Yeah.
Here's another look at Main Street. And then here we go, look. You see those on the road now? What are those?
Okay. Carriage. Okay, good.
They're carriages, but they're old antique cars, Joshua, yes.
Yeah.
That's right. So these were the first type of cars that existed. They were called the Ford Model T.
It's not a Model S, everyone.
Today, not Model S.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not the Tesla.
These were the no, not a Tesla even. No. Way before the Tesla time.
Yeah.
So everyone, we're gonna drive through town, and I want you to make some observations, and you can type it in the chat, and Mr. Lee will read it aloud since I can't read.
Yeah, well, please focus on the driving, and I can read out aloud while everyone's actually typing. Thank you so much, Mr. Ferraiolo.
Absolutely. So let's go off. What do we notice as we're going down into the village?
Yeah, I like how Jonathan's saying wee, right? We're just going like a yeehaw.
Yeah, we got traffic lights, that's for sure. Keep making observations. What's different about the road today? I mean,
Yeah, what's being, landed on the road? Yeah, the road is smoother and, pavements. It's good. It is, definitely. Everyone keep it going, keep it running. Very good. Actually, we did have a very nice share out. And also, what's the difference between the wagon we see in the picture and the car you see in the frame now? Yeah, windows.
So along the road here, I'll read a couple of things. There's a bunch of restaurants and storefronts. Now the cool thing about this town that I grew up in is a lot of places in Long Island, they have a mall, right? People go to this big building and there's a mall, but everything that you need can be found in the village here.
Yeah, that's good.
Including food, including anything that you need to buy for any reason. There's every type of store. And that's because Huntington is a town that changes over time. It's becoming more modern for sure. It's a place that people are moving to, and so sometimes what happens, some of the old historic buildings get knocked down for new buildings to be put up. And
yeah, it's a little bit sad. Yeah.
Yeah. Just reflecting on my own experience, some of the reactions that I've had, it's been kind of sad to see the change of my town, right? I feel connected to this place, and that's part of what we're talking about when we talk about culture, is the connection that you have to the place that you're from. Does anybody have any examples of that, like their hometown changing, or anywhere that you're from? Have you noticed anything change from these places? And
I will keep monitoring the chat, but I would also like to share my own experience, Mr. Ferraiolo, and everyone in the class. I did had a book with the pictures comparing the changes in 30 years of my hometown Canton, China. It's massively changed, while the same comparison was doing in the city Frankfurt in German, and it's not that many changes. So it's yeah, I mean, sadly, my hometown is happening the same. It's even greater changes now, just like huge tower, you know, in my inner city, you know. So yeah, that's a sharing, and thanks for the sharing in the chat. Like Omar says, I guess Mexico is the same in certain parts. And Jonathan says, yeah, China changes a lot. Thank you. And Joshua saying China wants to be advanced in tech. Yeah, thank you. And Miriam share, in Egypt, they are building new apartments in my compound. Oh, okay. Compound area. Yes, yes. Like those tower.
That's a big connection that I think a lot of places are seeing right now. Is that I think just in this town, what we're going to see, I'll show you a couple examples. Oh, Joshua, your dad was born in Smithtown. That's not too far away from here. I have some friends from Smithtown too. And I'm seeing a lot of buildings being torn down and new apartments being put up, and they're more modern looking, right? And some people, you know, they want to keep the old historic, I'll say, vibe to the town. But some people, they want change. They want new. What we're going to be seeing next is a monument to the soldiers and sailors of this town. Now, here's a cool piece of history for you. During the American Revolution, this town was overtaken by the British, and it was a site that was held by the British longer than anywhere else. Wow, this is the fun part of the field trip, is finding the parking spot. My goodness, my goodness. All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to find a parking spot. There we go. Here's a spot. Here's a spot. We're going to get out of the car, and we're going to run over to go check out soldiers and sailors. Is the connection still good, everybody? All right, great.
Absolutely, Mr. Ferraiolo. Connection's perfect.
All right, we got our mask on, and we're heading up these steps. So, I hope you're having a good time. I'm hoping that, you know, I just want you guys to relax, because the day before great, you know. And I think this is a good opportunity for us to get to know each other a little bit more, you know. I like to do that with my students. So this is, let me show you the view. Here we go. First of all, we got a big pile of snow from that parking lot. But there is a cemetery right here leading down to two really important things. One, there's a big view over the town. And there's the original town hall building. You can see the clock tower, it's up there. Now, all of these tombstones are from the 1600s and 1700s. Really, really old. This was when the town was first settled in 1653. And since then, people have been buried here. But there's some cool things I want to show us first. Number one, this building is a monument to all the soldiers who have fought in the wars in American history. But it was used as a defense point as well. And you're going to see something, I wonder if you know what it is. It's this big black thing right over here. Can you make it out? Anybody know what it is? A cannon, yes, that's right. And you can see on the ground there, those cannonballs. And this was a defense point. This protected the town. Right there. What do you guys see happening over here with this building? Anybody know what's happening?
Construction.
Right.
Yep.
So that is the original town hall. This is where the local government was set up. But you know what's happening now? They're turning it into apartment building. So people can live there. Which is cool, you know. It's change. It's progress, one might say.
Wait, Mr.
But I think-
Ferraiolo.
I mean Joshua. It is real. In
It's
back
real?
in time.
It's real?
It's real in back in times.
Cannon.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's real. Let's take a look.
Are the cannonballs also real?
Yes, they're real.
Ah,
Should I put one of them into the cannon?
yeah, do it.
Should I fire the cannon?
Yeah.
Yeah, take a look, everybody.
You can look inside the cannon.
I can't reach that high,
Oh,
but let's take a look from this side right here. Cool, right?
It's really cool. Yeah.
It's almost like a castle. So here, this is another cool thing. Anybody know what this yellow thing is? Here?
What is that? What's that yellow thing? They normally hang up.
It makes a noise. It goes ding.
Very good. Bell. Yeah. Jackie, Jonathan. Very good. Joshua, Marianne. Good. Very good.
Awesome, everybody. So we're gonna head back into the car. Because now, this morning there was no traffic for my first class. There's gonna be a little bit of traffic. And that's okay. Mr. Ferraiolo knows the back roads. We can make our way. There's also an important monument here first we should take a look at.
Yep.
During the American Revolution, a man from Connecticut, a patriot from Connecticut named Nathan Hale, snuck into the occupied territory of Huntington, and he was captured by the British in 1776. Now, unfortunately, Nathan Hale was taken to New York City and executed by the British. He was hung. But his final words were, "I only regret that I had but one life to give for my country." I just think that's a pretty powerful quote and kind of gives us an interesting feeling of how people felt during that time. One quick look, there's some cool things to know about this history of this graveyard. The old burial ground here, it's about 4 acres of land on a big hill. The first people buried here in 1657. But you guys, I mean, you see these tombstones, right? They like stick up out of the ground like that. But what about this rock? Do you think that rock is just a rock?
What would that be, everyone?
So this is something I did not know. So
Yeah. Oh, grave.
Here's
Yeah.
right here.
Jackie.
that these stones were gravestones for African American residents in the town. So there were slaves in this town in the early history. After 1799, slaves were freed in New York. But this is an interesting cemetery because it is an integrated cemetery. Meaning both black and white people are buried here. But it's important to know that they only gave African Americans these rocks. They didn't give them these tombstones, which is just an interesting part of the history here that I did not understand. So if you're ever in an old cemetery and you see rocks on the ground, don't pick them up, don't step on them. They are actually dedicated to people that have died. Right? All right. It is 12 o'clock. We got some time to make up. I'm gonna jog a little bit and get back to the car. Since I always gotta work out there. Doing it for the fourth. Alright, we're getting back into the car. We're gonna go down to the harbor. What is a harbor?
Yeah.
H-A-R-B-O-R. What is that?
Yep, a place with boats where you put boats. Very good. Nice.
So this town was developed because of the harbor. It's protected. And if you take a look at the Google Slides, and you go into, I believe I have a picture there.
And
Google map.
I think that's the first page, right? And there's a Google map showing the there's a Huntington, and there's a bay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the cool thing about that is that means that it's protected from the ocean, right? Now, if you have protection from the ocean, that means that the waters are going to be very calm. And because of that, people set up businesses and places for trade all throughout the village and the town and the harbor. And one thing, this is an interesting story that they did in this town. It was a whaling town, which means they hunted whales. And they used the whales for quite a few things. But there's a whaling museum that is in the town next door. We won't get a chance to go to it. But let's take a look back at the neighborhood. All right. We're going to take some shortcuts to get down to the harbor. All right.
Yep, that's there is a bay, so calmer waters, very good. Yep. Joshua, yeah.
Staten Island, almost like that too.
Yep.
The houses are more separated, just like in Staten Island.
But being honest, Joshua, just like what Mr. Ferraiolo has shared, now, not many places in US were constructed like, NYC. Like, and yeah, so it's kind of like, a combination of everything. And, but whenever you step out of NYC, even like, as you mentioned, Staten Island, you get, you kind of see like, what everywhere else looks like.
And like in New Jersey as well, once you leave the big cities,
yeah,
you start to see a lot more of this suburbia, right? That's what this town is that I grew up in. And, when I think about the town I grew up in, I was definitely, the word I like to use is sheltered. Just like the bay and the harbor are protected from the ocean, I grew up in a very protected area. Some people move to the suburbs because they think that it is safer than the city. Less people means there might be less crime. So for a lot of people, they think, that's why I want to move to the suburbs. And my father's family moved out here in the 1950s. And his parents, they grew up in Brooklyn. Their parents immigrated from Ireland and Italy. And you know how the other day we were talking about the American dream? You guys remember that?
Absolutely, Mr. Ferraiolo. How about you guys? Yep.
Yeah. The American dream for a lot of people was to own a house, to have a grass yard, like a lawn of their own, right? To send their kids to a good school, to have good opportunities to find work. And, that's what a lot of people did, including my father's family. But going back to the history now, you see this big white building on the left?
Yep.
This was the first church in the town. Right across the street is the town hall of the town now. But that used to be the high school.
That's why it looks like school building, right?
Yeah, exactly. Now the cool thing about, we just passed that first old church. During the Revolutionary War, the British took it over and knocked down the church, which upset a lot of people, and they created a fort. Now, if you remember from maybe the Hamilton musical last year, the Battle of Brooklyn, the Battle of New York City, the British took over control of New York City. And they had headquarters here in Long Island. And this town was a town of many loyalists, people who were on the side of the British. Part of that is because they were controlled. They had the threat of British soldiers living in their town. And for a long time, the British stayed here even after the war, but this was the last occupied area by Britain. Now here's where Mr. Ferraiolo was born, right over here in Huntington Hospital.
Good to know that.
Where I was born, and now we're gonna come closer to the harbor. And one thing I love about this town is having access to the harbor. My dad, he was a 25-year-old. He bought a boat. He always wanted a boat. He didn't grow up having a boat, and that was one thing he always wanted. So he had that boat, and when we were kids, we got to go out on the boat. So how many of you have ever been out on a boat before?
Oh, not that many. Wish I could be out a boat.
And that's something that I grew up having, and I was very lucky to do that. Not everyone gets to go out on boats and go water skiing. And I just grew up thinking that was like what everyone did. But that's what I meant by like I grew up pretty protected or sheltered. Like I didn't know what life was like for a lot of people, and people have different stories. So if anything today, I just want you to see different way of life. The suburbs are very different than the city. And I'm lucky to be able to call this place my hometown. I used to ride my bikes where we are right now with my brother and my best friend. And this is actually a really special place to me. I'd like to share with you all. Earlier this year, my good friend who I used to bike ride with, he passed away. It was really sad. But this is a place that we used to come to a lot as kids because we both love the water. We both love coming out here. And I mean, just this view. How does this view make some of you feel? How would you place yourself on the mood meter with this view?
Oh, absolutely
water,
yellow.
The boats. Yeah, relax, right? So we came here a couple months ago with his family and some of the people we went to school with, and we had a memorial for him. And it was really special. But that's what I like to think about. Are those memories that I was lucky to have. Over here on the left side, there's a big park. This is where I grew up playing baseball and football as a kid. Now we're gonna drive alongside the harbor. Okay.
Wait, do you have a GPS on you?
I don't have a GPS. My phone is a GPS though.
Oh, wait.
Just like all phones.
You have a GPS though, right? Because I'm wondering how do you know how to do it? Like, I thought you didn't have a GPS.
Oh, I have a GPS in my brain. I know these roads like the back of my hand.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm very familiar. I used to drive around. I used to bike ride here all the time. Since I was your age. But you making some observations of what you guys see along the water here? Anything about what you feel as you see these views? Or any questions you have? Let me know.
The roads are much curvier.
Yeah, definitely curvy roads. Right now it's low tide, meaning the water is receding or exiting the harbor. It flows in and out of the harbor, rising up and going down. And sometimes at low tide it smells. That's a very strong memory. Yeah. It's not the harbor at low tide. Another story. Dad was telling me, my dad grew up in this town. I actually live in the house that my dad grew up in with his 9 brothers and sisters. And he was telling me a story about how when he was a kid, the harbor, which we're looking at, froze over. It was like 2 feet thick, which is pretty thick. It might have been a little thicker. And people walked out on the water. It was frozen. And a couple people drove their cars. And one person, their car fell right into the water. They escaped, but they had to get a crane to pull their car out. But here we go. We're gonna come up now to, there's a beach over here called Gold Star Beach. But we're not going to stop at the beach. We're going to go up the hill to a really old castle. And have you, any of you seen the movie The Great Gatsby before?
Absolutely. It's a great
Great
movie.
Gatsby, yeah. It's based off places on the, they call it the Gold Coast. A lot of really, really wealthy people built these big mansions in Long Island and on the water. They love to have these big views. So get ready. You're going to see this gigantic mansion in just a moment.
Wow, I'm so excited to see that, Mr. Ferraiolo, because are you going to show us the house where Gatsby is standing, looking forward to?
Yeah, it looks just like that. And if you are on the Google Slides, you might see a picture of it already. Here we go. Let me know in the chat what you see and think about this place. There it is.
Oh,
It's called Andre Hall.
Oh, really big.
Ginormous. There's 40 rooms, 40 different rooms.
we cannot call that a house. We need to call that a castle, right?
Old fashioned for sure. There's a cat out there right now. That's cute. I think that cat owns the castle.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what? Should I get out? Let's get out. Let's get out real quick.
You live in that house?
I live here.
Oh.
This is Mr. Ferraiolo's home. Listen.
Welcome, right?
Yeah, welcome to my crib. Didn't say hi to the kid. The cat over there. Oh, he ran away. Come back. Where'd he go? Cat disappeared, everybody.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, take a look at the architecture. It's beautiful, right?
Is that I was thinking, what style is this type of construction? It's not a Baroque, right?
Yeah, Baroque. I think Baroque.
Yeah, Baroque, right?
Yeah. It's modeled after a lot of the big castles in France. Okay, but the coolest part is not. Let's take a look at the window. See what we can see in here.
Oh, we see a triangle, right? It's a piano, a big triangle piano. Whoa, it's very cool.
What happened if you open it up? I think you have to have an appointment. Oh wow!
Looks really, really, really good. It's locked a little bit, yeah.
Oh wow! Not to worry though. We're gonna go around back and check out what it is now. Do you know who really owns this place now?
Yeah, everyone trying to ask who?
Who would come to a place like this? It's a big. You're gonna see in a moment. There's a really big hill. It's usually filled with grass, but now it's filled with snow. So I wonder, why do people come here?
A leader, a well-known or very rich person, very good shout out. And Barton says a millionaire.
So yeah, the person who built it, his family owned a medical drug company, and he had this place built. But when he passed away, the town of Huntington actually, took control of it, and now we're going to see that it is just a place where people come with their dogs. So welcome to the fanciest dog park I know of. We might see some dogs out here. There's a couple people here sleigh riding, and it's one of my favorite places because of the view, which we're about to see. Let's check it out.
Yeah, exactly, Jonathan. Whoa.
See the sign? Where's the sign say? Who can read the sign?
Anyone? Anyone can help? I think it's pretty clear. Yeah, Joshua, go ahead.
All dogs, pets must be leashed and owners controlled at all times.
Yes.
And both are using.
Some people were sweating over there, and there's one dog here. But let's take a look at the view. Alright. So, I don't know if you can really make it out, but what do you see in the distance over there?
Very good, Mariana. Water, a building. Joshua share water.
That's the harbor that I was talking about. On
Wow.
the other side, it's Connecticut. So if you're looking at a map,
Cool.
you can see that the harbor is protected by the bay. Piece of land that sticks out making a harbor. It goes all the way back towards the town. And yeah, there's a lighthouse out there. You can't really see it right now, but this is where Mr. Ferraiolo used to come and go sleigh riding. This is like the best. This is all downhill. You can go all the way from here to the water. I think it's the coolest place to get sleigh riding.
Very, very cool.
Yeah. Well, listen, everybody. I hope you enjoyed seeing my hometown. And I hope that you enjoyed hearing about my memories. And what I want you to be able to do right now is check out, there's a Google form in today's assignment. And I was hoping that we could just review the questions together first. Okay?
So everyone, please open the Google form. And yeah, as everyone said, thank you so much, Mr. Ferraiolo, for showing us the amazing trip to your hometown. And everyone, please open the Google Doc that Mr. Ferraiolo just mentioned. And we will be start.
Yeah, I'm just reading the chat right now. A lot of comments.
Yeah.
Awesome job, everybody. I hope everybody had a good time. Remember, we just want you to feel relaxed over break right now. Oh, hold on, there's a dog being chased, or a dog chasing the banner that's sleigh riding. That's pretty cool. About to share that.
That's great. That's great.
Anyway, yeah, Mr. Lee's posting the questions from the Google form now, I believe, right?
Yeah, exactly. That was the first one from the form.
Yeah, let's share out. The question is, do you think where you grew up, where you call home, has impacted your way of life?
Wow, just immediately see yes.
How. I'll share first for me. My hometown is filled with a lot of places of beautiful nature and big, giant, open areas to explore, which made me very adventurous. Someone who likes to go out and find new places to travel to and visit. It makes me very curious. Anybody want to share how their hometown impacted their
Please.
life and their?
Yeah, anyone would like to go ahead and share your experience with us?
Yeah, that makes sense, Miriam. I think you're right. I think the places that you live and grow up definitely impact the way that you see the world, the way that you speak, the way you act. Omar, you want to go? Yeah.
Yep.
Where I live, especially in New York, I think it makes me more different because you know how we used to I guess like transportation, like
Yeah.
MTA paying fares, but like in different like countries, I guess, or continents, like there's no MTA, there's no fare. There's buses, but like are they free or do you need to pay a fare?
It depends, right? Depends where you are.
Yeah, it depends where you are, because like
So like transportation, right? Maybe you have like an interest in transportation, or maybe an appreciation for having transportation, right?
Yeah, and the culture and the food as well.
That's
There
very
you go.
good.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
And there's a couple more questions. Let's look at some other questions that are in that form.
Yep. So here comes with the next one. Which what is your hometown and where you were born, where you mostly grew up?
Does anyone call anywhere else besides Brooklyn and the neighborhood by our school home? Does anybody have another hometown? Josh, you lived in the same place your whole life. Has anyone lived in multiple places? Or grown up in?
All right, Patricia, Indiana. All right, okay, all right. Yeah, that was actually middle. The middle land.
Aren't you grown up in a few other places too? What are some of the names of the places? Anywhere that I might know?
Good to know that, Patricia. Thank you for the sharing.
All Loredana, Brooklyn, as well as Italy. Very cool.
Nice, nice.
So yeah, think about how all the places that you've grown up in and lived your life in have shaped who you are, right? Oh, yeah. Brooklyn and Egypt, Miriam. Very cool.
That's great.
How about this? Next question, Mr. Yeah. What do you like or what do you miss about your hometown? Right? If you're from a different place, or if you've been to another place that you might call home, what do you miss about it? Just share out. I'll share. I miss all the open space. Since I moved to Brooklyn, there's not a lot of space like there is here. Yeah, for sure. Me as well. The mountains, Loredana. Yeah, I love mountains too.
That's great. That's great.
I bet the mountains in Italy are beautiful.
Yeah. And
relatives, yeah. And food too, Sarah. I hear you. Nothing like a nice home cooked meal.
Yeah, Sarah, I would like to agree with you. I miss my hometown dim sum, and yeah, it's missed that a lot, and it's great. It's great. It's a great shout. How do we go through the last question, Mr. Ferraiolo? It's like how do you feel during and at the end of the tour? Mr. Ferraiolo today. Now, did it shift your mood at all?
Yeah, I hope it did. I hope your moods have been shifted. That you're feeling good. Awesome. I see yellow for Miriam, yellow for Miss Hurley. Here we go. Yeah, and here's the other maybe mood shifter. I'm not assigning any mandatory work for break. I hope that's okay with you. So no homework over this break. And there'll be some extra credit readings if you want to get ahead. But I want you to relax. I want you to enjoy your time closing out the rest of the year. And be ready to come back, ready to go in 2021.
Yeah.
All right?
2021.
So with that, everybody, you need a break, right?
Yeah.
I'll miss you all. Have a happy holiday and a happy new year. And let's say goodbye. Let's take a breath. 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathe in.
Yep. Let's breathe in and let it go. Thank you so much, Mr. Ferraiolo. And this is a great trip. It's actually definitely the best of the day.
Oh, awesome. I'm happy that you guys had a good time. Thank you for sharing out and have a great one.
Yep. Thank you, everyone, for joining. Thank you, Mr. Ferraiolo, for the great trip. And see you guys right around the corner. And see you guys in 2021.
See you in 2021.
Yeah.
Bye. See you in 2021. See you. Bye. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Bye, Joshua. Bye.